I don't see anything, at least right now, here it's boots on the ground San Diego anyway, I don't see anything drastically changing anytime soon. Hey gang, reporting live from the cockpit. It's ridiculous. With the COVID hair, the can't get my haircut hair to prove it. Hey, real quick, we'll call this our little Tuesday Tipperino. I was thumbing on some of the news feed aggregates this morning, and Yahoo was all abuzz saying, hey, March stats were great, but we're expecting a 30% drop in the real estate game for April. And I felt, it's so interesting to me when, we're all trying to have a take when it comes to stats, when it comes to real estate. And I can appreciate that. Where else are you going to be able to derive said take from without, if not the stats, right? And, so a couple things to pull apart. First of all, 30% is funny, right? It's funny almost in the sense that it's a round number. Anytime you see a round number like a 0 or a 5, it's baloney already. Better word for that. Right? That's part number one. Part number two is how arbitrary is that, right? So what they're doing is they're trying to feed forward from some of the leading indicators. What are the leading indicators? Well, primary leading indicators are always going to be the triangulation of the truth, otherwise known in real estate as the affordability index, which is just a fancy way of saying how much money are people typically making in any given market, right? What are the available interest rate deals so you can leverage said property, and then what are the average home prices for the area? Well, obviously, the rates were way down, then they went up, right? So, it was front page of the Union Tribune, about a week or two ago, that was like doom and gloom in the real estate game because mortgage applications had fell off 30%. That's a helpful little number there, right? So we can copy paste that from the week before, and it was right in the COVIDs. Well, yeah, fair. But what the article didn't do as sensational as a job to share is that the rates went from all-time record lows since they've been tracking it, period, to jacked back up to 4.5 or something, because everybody with a home mortgage and an APN number were basically filing refinance options, and so that jacked the whole thing up. So it's interesting. So what do we know right now? The man who knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. We have no idea what effect this is going to have in the short. Dare we even try to pontificate on the long scope in terms of real estate prices? But what we can rest our hat on is that they're still going to be driven by rates. They're still going to be driven by demand. And that demand is a buoy, of course, is supply, right? The amount of homes for sale versus the buyers that want to go buy them. So yeah, there's going to be attrition. There's going to be buyers that were in the market before or thought they were going to be in that are no longer going to be because they don't have a job or they don't have the financial security to be able to go drop on a $500,000 conversation, right? But then you still got a whole percentage of folks, dare we say the majority, who are still in, who have still a down payment, didn't lose, their arses in the stock market, or at least still have enough to be able to pull that off, and believe that they're gainfully employed. And those people are actually kind of excited about the rates coming back down and maybe not as much competition out there against it, and the homes that are out there right now that are for sale are being sold by sellers that want to sell and want to be there, not the fair weather toe dippers. So it's an interesting way to say, hey, real estate right now, if you're on the front lines, you're looking at it, there's still homes being sold, there's escrows being opened, and there are loans being done. And so until that changes, I don't see anything, at least right now, here it's boots on the ground San Diego anyway, I don't see anything drastically changing anytime soon. So just make sure that this always applies to you in your unique situation. You're not making global, mass prognostications of everythingness like the Yahoos are trying to do, right? It's individual to your situation and then your specific pocket that you're trying to get into, watching that, being vigilant, that's a new word, being vigilant about watching what's happening in the pocket that you're after right now, targeting. Because if it is going down, hallelujah, then watch it go down and time it or do whatever you got to do. Maybe the perfect home comes up and maybe just at that right time, you've got the rate that kind of comes back down to earth, and then you'll still look like a genius. Even if the prices do go down a little more, which I think would be a pretty wise thing to assume, you'll still be paying on that low, payment for, the next, God many years, as long as you'll have each other. So sprinkling a little bit of consciousness. We're no longer in the information age anymore, gang. We're in the consciousness age. It's not about being access to information that was unavailable before. It's about making sense, knowing people's individual importance and their own disposition with purpose inside that information and consciousness, and then sprinkling it on top of it. And that's exactly what we do over at the Greenhouse Group for our buyers and sellers that we're helping. It's asking them the 7 most important questions you got to get clarity on before you even think if it's a good idea for you to do any or either of them right now, let alone both, and then seeing the world through that purview and lens from there. So that's all I got, gang. We'll call that an elaborated 6-minute